in our curriculum. Okay. Uh, First, we will start with chapter 2, section 1, chapter 2, section 1, chapter 2, section 1, which talking about picturing motion. It's very easy lesson. We'll just learn some new concepts. Okay, then in lesson 2, we'll ask about where and when, where for place, when for time. Then we'll talk about graphs. I told you last period that we are going to talk about graphs. Okay, then also chapter 4, we are talking about how fast also using graphs. So I hope you revised the graphs as we revised last period. Okay, so to be ready, we'll use a lot of graphs in our curriculum channel. We'll start here about what is the meaning of motion. When you can describe, how can you tell that an object is in motion? How? Who knows? When you can describe an object in motion? Raise your hands if you know the answer. How can you tell that an object is in motion? Abdul Rahman Basa.
When the object's place is moving or when the speed is changing.
Object place, we can paraphrase it again. When the object change its place, not the
Yes.
place itself change, right?
Yes. I meant
Okay. So
object.
but here when in physics, we use a more scientific word rather than a place. We use the word position. We use the word what? Position. Okay, Omar, you raise your hand. Omar, where is Omar? Omar Muhammad Bagawas. Yes, ya Omar. You can talk.
Yes, mister. I just wanted to answer, but you
Yes, you
answered.
can. You can say again, no problem.
What, mister?
Yes, say, answer. You can answer.
You answered the question already, mister.
No, okay, repeat if you want to add anything more. Or you agree with me?
When an object changes its position, that means it's moving.
Yes, excellent. So you can say or you can judge that this object is moving when the object change its position. If it was in position A, so it can move to another position. We can, for example, say if the object move, okay, from position A to position B, okay, so you can tell that the object is moving, okay. Now we'll start, as usual, watching a video about this kind of motion. We will talk about what is the meaning of motion and types of motion. Does anyone know the types of motion? Or you can imagine a types of motion? You can tell us types of motion. Do we have only one kind of motion or we have different motion? Try to think about this one. Do we have different kind of motion or only one motion? That the object only changes its place, just. Okay, Amjad. Amjad, then Basahlu. Okay, Basahlu will come back to you, but we'll take Amjad first. Amjad.
No, mister, we have 6 types of motions.
6 types of motion. Can you say them, please?
Circular motion.
Excellent. Circular motion.
Rectilinear motion.
Rectilinear motion or linear motion. Excellent, Amjad. What else?
Periodic motion.
Periodic motion. Okay. Very well.
Rotational motion.
Rotational motion. Excellent, Amjad. What else? MashaAllah. We are four.
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, very enough, Amjad, MashaAllah. So you prepared the lesson, Amjad, right? Amjad?
Yes, I prepared the lesson yesterday.
Thanks a lot to hear our words that you have to prepare the lesson and study. Thanks, Amjad, very well. Okay. So Shabab, as Amga said, we have different kind of motion. We can say, okay, let us watch the video, okay, and then come back with different kind of motion.
Review. Let's start with motion. In simple words, if a body is moving, it's described as motion. That's all. In slightly more technical words, motion is defined as a change in the position of a body with time. Yes, change in the position with time. For example, when an object is moving from point A to point B, it's changing its position with time. We saw that the time is also changing along with the position. So it is undergoing motion. What are the types of motion that we had studied previously? We have seen 4 types of motion. The simplest of all is the rectilinear motion. It is the motion of a body in a straight line. The example that we saw earlier is of a rectilinear motion. Object is moving in a straight line from A to B. There is another type of motion called the circular motion. What can this type of motion be? It is the motion of a body along the circumference of a circle. Example, motion of the earth around the sun is an example of circular motion. The third type of motion that we saw is the rotational motion. It is the motion of a body around a fixed axis which is passing through the object. This is important. The axis has to pass through the object. Example of rotational motion is a ceiling fan rotating along its axle. So you see that if I draw a hypothetical line called the axis of rotation, then it's passing through the fan. And the final type of motion is a periodic motion, which is the motion that repeats itself in equal intervals of time. Can you think of any example of this type of motion? Any object repeating its motion in equal intervals of time will be undergoing periodic motion. Assume an object is moving in circles and is covering each round every 3 seconds. Is it performing a periodic motion? Absolutely. Since it's repeating its motion along the same path every 3 seconds, it is undergoing periodic motion. But wait a moment. This object is moving along the circumference of the circle. So it is also undergoing circular motion. So what can you conclude from this example? We can say that an object can undergo more than one type of motion at the same time. Here are the few of the examples of motion in our everyday life. Go through them well and tell me what type of motion each one of them represents. And note that one example could also have more than one type of motion. The first one is clearly rectilinear motion. It's a car moving along a straight line. The second one is interesting. Most of us would have guessed rectilinear motion after seeing the word straight. Which type of motion are the wheels of an automobile performing? Are they undergoing rotational motion or rectilinear motion, or both? Since the automobile is moving in a straight line, its wheels are undergoing both rectilinear and rotational motion at the same time. What about a simple pendulum? We know that a simple pendulum performs to and fro motion. This to and fro motion repeats itself in equal intervals of time. So it's undergoing periodic motion. Now let me ask you a question. Suppose you want to travel to city B from city A. Which mode of transport will get you quicker to the destination? A bicycle or an aeroplane? Obviously an aeroplane. Because the speed of an aeroplane in air is much quicker than the speed of a bicycle on a road. But what is speed? Keep watching our videos to know more.
Okay, guys, so as you watched from the video, we have different kinds of motion. Okay, who can remind us what you saw in this video? Raise your hands. Who wants to remind us again what kind of motion we have seen here? Saud, you can talk as well.
Yes, hello, Mr. How are you?
Fine, thanks. How are you doing?
We saw 4 different types of motion. which is circular motion.
Excellent. Can you describe circular motion?
What, Mister?
Can you describe it or give an example with example?
So circular motion is things that move in a circumference of a circle.
Yes, excellent. Like when you are making a U-turn, for example, with your car. Excellent. This is what circular motion. Excellent. What else?
Also, uh, rectilinear motion.
Rectilinear or linear motion? Okay, linear or rectilinear?
Yes.
Okay, Muhammad will take another guys here. They raise their hands. Muhammad Osama. Thanks, Muhammad. Thanks a lot. Muhammad Osama, you can unmute yourself. Muhammad Osama, you can unmute yourself, Muhammad Osama. Okay, we'll come back. Basa.
Yes, Mister. You want me to continue?
Yes.
And also, for example, rotational motion.
Rotational motion. So Muhammad Saud said circular motion. Now we are talking about rotational motion. Okay.
Yes, rotational motion is when the object spins
Yes, spin or rotate around
itself.
itself, around itself, or its own axis. We can say its own
Yes.
axis. Yes, or itself. Excellent. Thanks, Muhammad.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
I'm Abdurrahman.
Another one. Yeah, Abdurrahman, sir. Okay, Bagabas. Abdullah Bagabas. You can unmute yourself, Abdullah. 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 Okay, we'll come back to you, Abdullah. Omar Muhammad Bagabas.
Yes.
Yes.
Periodic.
Periodic
when
motion. Excellent. Periodic motion. Like what?
for example, the Earth moves around the sun in 24 hours.
Yes, when the Earth move around the sun. Move around the sun. Excellent. This is what we call. Was this example for what? Circular or rotational or
Periodic. So because every 24 hours, the Earth has a full rotation.
So we can consider this periodic because the motion is repeated at the same time. Excellent, excellent, excellent. So and also we can name it circular motion, right? Right, Bagabas? Or not? You muted yourself. You can talk now. Ask.
Yes, we can consider it rotational because it spins around itself too.
No, rotational. Also, the Earth also can rotate around itself, so it is rotational, and also rotate around the sun, so we can consider it what circular motion. So the
Okay,
Earth, a very, 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 very good example, يا عمر بصراحة يعني. You get three different kinds of motion only in one example. Thanks a lot, Omar. So as you hear, the friends, Omar said we can have three types of motion only in one example, like Earth. The Earth spins around itself, so it's a rotational motion. The Earth rotates around the sun, okay, so it is what circular motion. The Earth, okay, when it is rotating around itself, it rotates in 24 hours. When it rotates around the sun, it rotates every 1 year, so it repeats the motion at the same time. So it is what periodic motion. Excellent, excellent, excellent. So now we have three kinds. What is the fourth kind? I think Saud said rectangular or rectilinear or linear, but we didn't get. So yes, Saud said the fourth one. Okay, Shabab. Now open your book. I think you don't have a hard copy from this book, right? Okay, I want someone to read the first here. We will going to highlight which point you have to highlight in your book. Okay, so who wants to read? Okay, Basa.
Yes, Mr. Can I read from your screen, please?
Yes, can start from here. It's clear for you now.
Yes.
Should I zoom more?
No, it's okay now.
Okay, you can read.
Okay. All kinds of motion.
Mm.
You have learned about scientific processes that will be useful in your study of physics. You will now begin to use these tools to analyze motion. In subsequent chapters, you will apply these processes to many kinds of motions. You will use words, sketches, diagrams, graphs, and equations. These concepts will help you determine how fast and how far an object moves, in which directions, in which direction that object is moving, whether that object is speeding up or slowing down, and whether that object is standing still or moving at a constant speed. Changes changes in position. What comes what comes to your mind when you hear the word motion? A spinning ride at an amusement park, a baseball soaring over a fence for a home run. Motion is all around you, from fast trains and speedy skiers to slow breezes and lazy clouds. Objects move in many different ways, such as the line path of a bowling ball in a bowling lane's gutter, the curved path of a car rounding a turn, the spiral of a falling kite, and swirls of water circling a drain. When an object is in motion, such as the subway train in Figure 1, its position changes.
So here, when
Some
an object is in motion, what happens? Its position, what? It changes. This is the most kind here. Here he said, he gave you examples for the four kind of motion. So for everyone here, you have to know the four kinds of motion. Remember for them, this is a recorded video, so you can watch them again. As we said, rotational motion and circular motion, linear motion, and periodic motion. Okay, thanks, Basar. We'll check another person. Abdullah Yusuf Shibani. Abdullah Yusuf Shibani.
Mr. How are
Yes, yes, Hassan. How are you? Hassan? Fine.
you? Mr. Which page in the book?
I said at the beginning, it is chapter 2, section 1.
Okay.
Chapter 2, section 1, and show the page down here. I think it is 26, 34. It is year 34. Okay. Another want to complete this one? Abdullah, do you want to complete?
Yes, yes.
Yes. Some from here, some.
Some types of motion are more complicated than others. When beginning a new area of study, it is generally a good idea to begin with the last complicated situation, learn as much as possible about it, and then gradually add more complexity to the simple model. In the case of motion, you will begin your study with movement along a straight line.
Yes, so this is the first one, the movement along a straight line, which we said linear or rectilinear motion. Okay, so we'll talk about in this chapter about this kind of motion moving in straight line, or linear motion or rectilinear motion. So everyone will not talk about circular motion in chapter 6. Okay, and any other kind of motion, rotational in later chapter. So all our curriculum is talking about moving in straight line, Hope this is clear for you.
Yes, Mr.
Just one. Yes, the guys who are raising their hands, just wait a little. See when it ends. Okay. Move to the other page. Moving along a straight line. This is what we said before. Just we'll talk about motion in a straight line, which we call linear or rectilinear motion. Yes, we have many guys raising their hands. Muhammad Saud, yes, Muhammad. Muhammad Saud.
May I read?
طب just wait Muhammad. شباب, do you have any questions or you just want to read? عبد الله وائل كمان. عبد الله وائل. عبد الله وائل. You can talk يا عبد الله. عبد الله كمال. Okay. Okay, Saud. Where Saud, yes. You can read it, Saud.
Movement along a straight line. In general, an object can move along many different kinds of paths, but straight line motion follows a path directly between 2 points without turning left or right. For example, you might describe an object's motion as forward and backward, up and down, or north and south. In each of these cases, the object moves along a straight line. Suppose you are reading this textbook at home. As you start to read, you glance over at your pet hamster and see that it is sitting in a corner of the cage. Sometime later, you look over again and you see that it now is sitting next to the food dish in the opposite corner of the cage. You can infer that your hamster has moved from one place to another in the time between your observations. What factors helped you make this inference about the hamster movement? The description of motion is a description of place and time.
Yes. So to describe motion, we need to describe two things or two factors. What are they? Place and time. Okay, everyone. To describe motion, we need to know two things: place and time. Yes, I can continue.
You must answer the questions of where an object is located and when it is at the position.
So where refer to what? To the location or position. Okay. And when is referring to what, شباب? To time. So where, what questions you have to ask? When and where. When and where. Where for position and when for time. The same as we said, place and time or position and time. Yes, sir. Can I continue?
Look at some. Wait, you saw.
Where?
When it is at the position in order to clearly describe its motion. Next, you will look at some tools that help determine when an object is at a particular place.
Okay, Shabab, we'll stop to this point. Now, everyone who has account for connected MacroHealth, you can log in for your MacroHealth. I'm not talking about WinGo, I'm just talking about MacroHealth. Now I'm going to train you how to use MacroHealth. Use the site of your book, the site of the book, not WinGo. You have two websites. WinGo.
It's only for ebook, am I right?
Yes. Okay. Rashid, yes, Rashid.
مستر الحق مقره المايستر.
No, you have to ask for your password and username on this.
عندي الباسورد هذا دخلت يقول لي فيه غلط.
Okay, but maybe change it, so you have to renew. Come back to the who gave you this username and password.
مستر خالد.
Okay, go back to Mr. Khalid. Okay, I just can train you on the website. Okay.
Okay.
But username and password is not mine here.
Thank you.
Okay, so here you can see that you have to enter username or the email and password, then press login. First, you will have interface like this one, okay, but I have many proxy here. So you are using physics. This physics for the teacher edition, and physics for the students. I'm going to enter students, so you will have the same user interface like this one. Okay, from here, you can choose which chapter. If we are in chapter 2, you can press chapter 2 representing emotions, then go here to the right, then lesson 1 or section 1 picturing emotion. So now you are in chapter 2, section 1. Again, for the first one here, you can choose the chapter. Okay, then go to the right to choose the lesson. If I change it now in section 2, come back here, we are in section 1. And from here, you can have many resources. These are lesson resources. As you can see here, lesson resources. Okay. There is a vocab. If you stand here, there is vocab. Okay. This is the multilingual. Okay. There is you can see here for this one. You can download the multilingual glossary. It's in Arabic, in English, in Spanish, in Chinese. So you can have the translation for each word you don't know in Arabic or in English. Okay, this is from my GitHub. Okay, Shabab. Sorry for the one who is raising their hands. I just want to finish some important things and take questions. Okay, for come back here. Okay, we are in chapter 2, section 1. Here you can watch a video about the lesson. This is one from MicroHealth. Okay. If it's talking also about, okay. Also, you can under watch you have animation, you have motion diagram, you have particle model. Okay. These about part definitions inside the lesson are still inside lesson 1. So these things are related to this the animation here. Okay, and the motion diagram. So you can all watch resources is for all for this lesson. Okay, go back. If you press this one, you can here connected, it will go back for this page. Okay, you can go back to this page. The next one, it opens the resources for the book. Sorry, coming back. Okay, so here you can have check. What is check? It's like online quiz. If you press it, is section self-check. Okay, so you can have it. It will open a quiz that's online. You can answer this question. What must you be able to answer to describe an object motion? You have just now. You have what to ask. We said when and where, so your answer will be C. Okay, if you don't know the answer, you need a hint. It can help you here. Need a hint. An object in motion, it changes position as it moves. Okay, so when you finish all the questions, you can grade your test. Okay, so it will tell you that this has been graded. You have correctly answered 1 out of 5 questions, and so on. So you can know if your answer is right or wrong. Okay. This is about this icon. We have here many resources you can move. Okay, this kind is also resources. It will give you the whole list of the resources. Okay. Move to the right. This is about lab manager. If we have anything to work inside the lab. This is the science notebook for the chapter or the lesson. Okay, you can download it. Okay, this is the ebook. This is the book or electronic book. This is the same as your book. This is the book you are using. Okay. You can magnify the page from here. Okay, magnify more or less. Okay, you can make 2 pages or 1 page, 1 page or 2 pages at the same. Okay, you can move between pages here. Okay, what will happen if you want to change which chapter? Go here, choose your chapter. Okay, chapter 2. Okay, and then you can move between lessons from this one. You can search here, you can make the screen like this one. Okay, full size. You can go back from here. Here you have glossary. Glossary, as you can see, gives you only the definition. You can hear.
Set of wavelengths absorbed by a gas, which can be used to identify that gas.
Okay, this is the glossary. Okay, and there is index. What is index? It's different than glossary, that you can press the page. It will give you the page that has this kind of term. Okay, it will send you to the page itself if you want to revise the term itself from the. So from glossary, it gives you the direct definition with sound, but index, it will send you to the page itself. Okay, here you can box, circle, or underline. You can make here. Okay, here's this one. You can manage the class, which class you are in. Okay, here you can add note. Okay, if you want to take notes, you can add notes. Which page, like right page or left page, you will take notes for left page. So you can say any notes you want to write. Okay, then post. Okay, just to remind you, and you can open the note again. Okay, and you can delete it from here. This one is a pen. Okay, you can highlight, you can write here. Okay, this one is a highlighter. You can highlight what you want here. I think this is all things about this one. Okay, here you can also zoom vertically or horizontally. Okay, I think this is all about this electronic book. Okay, also from here, I said we can from this arrow. Also here you can walk the audio for this page.
Depend on the pattern of movements of its legs. Horses walk at about 5 kilometers per hour, but galloping.
Okay, Shabab, before we leave, do you have any questions, Muhammad Osama?
Most of the periods end at 11 and 10 minutes. We have 5 minutes more. Can you play Kahoot?
No, Kahoot. No
Why?
Kahoot today, because here we have another issue now. Abdullah Yusuf.
Mister,
Yes.
do you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Talk.
Mister, how can I save the highlights?
When you do anything, you can after it you can save.
How,
For
mister?
example,
I did
here,
it.
try without. Let's make it work. Doesn't want to work. This here, you can highlight. I press highlight here, okay? Then go to the word. You can choose the word which one you want to highlight.